Today we're going to learn what exactly did Antonio Bonfini write about Vlad the Impaler in his famous chronicle. But first a few words from one of the authors of Corpus Draculianum, Albert Weber.
Everyone knows that there was a propaganda campaign against Vlad the Impaler Dracula, demonizing him as tyrant of tyrants and perverted torturer. However, as our science project Corpus Draculianum revealed, in his later years the Hungarian royal court undertook a very well-organized campaign to rehabilitate the former voivode. King Matthias Corvinus had Vlad locked up for years, but after 1474, he reactivated him when the Ottomans unexpectedly plundered and torched Oradea, a very important city of the kingdom. The king now needed his best generals to fight off the invaders, and Vlad was one of the most experienced in anti-Ottoman warfare. So he politically and morally rehabilitated the formerly greatest tyrant, who had killed more men than anyone else, into the good guy who was to be unleashed upon the infidel Turks. Maybe the Hungarians were the authors of the former propaganda campaign. We cannot say this for sure, but they later definitely tried to undo the damage.
It was said that the king rushed to the Transalpine, parts of the empire, to free Dracula, to whom he had given a wife and also his blood relative by a lawful marriage, from the hands of the Turks. After he went there, he captured Dracula in Transylvania. It is not known for what reason, since this was not quite known to anyone, but the other Dracula, who had been placed in the province by the Turk, he approved of, contrary to everyone's opinion. This one he led captive to Buda and punished with the dungeon for 10 years. They recall that Dracula was of unheard cruelty and justice. They say that when envoys of the Turks refused to take off the Phrygian caps at an audience, according to the custom of their homeland, in order to consolidate this, their custom, he hammered 3 nails into their heads so that they could not be moved. He had put innumerable Turks on stakes, and between them he had dined nobly with friends. The beggars and moreover all of the degenerates, idlers, and wretches of strength and fortune he took in for a very noble banquet, and thereupon, throwing fire into them when they were full of food and wine, he destroyed them. Likewise, he often flayed the skin off the feet of Turkish prisoners, rubbed them with crushed salt, and soon after led goats to lick the salted soles, which increased the torture by the roughness of their tongues. A Florentine merchant worried about securing his money. He ordered it to be deposited in the middle of the road, and not having lied about the money counted at night, let him go safely. In a barbaric region he applied such a great rigor that anyone could be completely safe with his fortune in the middle of the forest. Matthias restored him to his old dignity, but he was finally killed in a Turkish war. His head was sent to Mehmed as a gift. The king never allowed the Turkish envoys to come before him without presenting Dracula, whom he held as a prisoner, the most bitter enemy of the Turks, and exceedingly terrible to them again and again. The latter recognized the man from whom they had experienced so many inhuman tortures, as often as they had been beaten and put to flight, and looked at him askance, and the more they were invited to the completion of the truce. But the king, to confirm their fears, refused a truce, submitting that by paternal right it was not lawful for any king of Pannonia to make truce or peace with the Turk. If he did so, his royal dignity would be immediately ruined.
Antonio Bonfini, the Italian court chronicler of Matthias Corvinus, integrated this political rehabilitation discourse in his work. He thus established the positive image of Vlad against the negative one propagated in the Dracula stories. Vlad was, according to Bonfini, extremely cruel, but in the same time extremely just. So he mutilated, burned, and impaled people because they simply deserved it. You may guess for yourself how authentic or how politically motivated this statement is. However, this conflicting image of the voivode and the debate if he was good or with good intentions or simply a sick, morally degraded individual fuels the interest in his personality and his deeds until today's. It is maybe Bonfini's merit that Vlad was immortalized.